Magician!
Hey YouTube, DarkMagician84 here, and welcome to a top 20 video. Now, this list was actually inspired by a top 10 list that Kasame Unlimited from Underground did, and that was his top 10 cards that scarred him for life. And that got me thinking about the same thing for me. It would have been a top 10, but there were just a few too many I could think of that scarred me for life personally in some way or another. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, this is just basically going to be another version of a top hated video, but it's not going to be like the other ones I've done. I'm not going to be ranking this on how much I hate these cards, just simply how much they scarred me for life, like I said, in some way or another. Of course, that being said, there's probably only one card here that I don't necessarily hate, which is right at the bottom, so yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's get into it. Number 20, Zombie World. Yeah, Zombie World pretty much scarred me for life in multiple ways. One being that it's an auto win against decks that need to be a certain type, especially Magician Girls. I mean, anything with Zombie World just straight up screws them over, because, well, I need monsters on the field and in the graveyard to be a spellcaster, especially when it comes to using Spellbook Magician of Prophecy and Chocolate Magician Girl, because I can't, well, not just Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, but it's usually who I send with Spellbook of Knowledge. I mean, it can be used on any spellcaster I control, but if they're not spellcasters, then I can't use it. And then there's Chocolate Magician Girl, which is even worse. Like, if everything is a zombie instead of a spellcaster, then I can't use her effect to defend myself. And then there have been times where it just made things awkward in Royal Rumbles. In fact, I even remember one where there was a game state mistake where I made Isolde forgetting that Zombie World was on the field and that my warriors were not considered warriors. And then, of course, there's the irritating cards that it's combined with, more specifically Rivalry of the Warlords and Doom King Boldarok. Yeah, Rivalry is such an infuriating floodgate. I mean, even though it doesn't really hurt most of my decks anyway, but yeah, the most played floodgates are just infuriating. But yeah, it's even worse when used with Zombie World, because well, it screws over some extra deck plays. I can't put out anything if it's not a zombie. It's just like, how is this even fair? And then there's Boldarok, which pretty much negates half my deck, along with the fact that it just banishes monsters whenever a zombie monster effect is activated, and it doesn't target. God, I fucking hate that card, I really do. Yeah, these combos have just fucked me over so many times, it's just not even funny. And this even made the Zombie Horde deck placed quite high on my list of hated decks of all time, actually. Like, it's up there in the top 20, definitely. That's how much Zombie World just scarred me for life. Number 19, Cyber Dragon Infinity, my most hated Xyz monster. The bastard that ruined Cyber Dragons for me. Going for this fucker, like I said, I swear is all Cyber Dragon players ever fucking do. Whether they're going first or just trying to go for an OTK, like on turn 2. Yeah, this bastard is just basically an auto win button. I mean, it was ridiculous during that time when it was played generically, because Stellar Knight Ptolemaeus is generic and could easily turbo it out quite easily with any rank 4 engine. It's also insult to injury when facing ABCs, because they basically run Galaxy Soldiers just to discard any of the fusion materials for ABC Dragon Buster and set up for that. How is that even fair? It's just not. And of course it can be used outside of Cyber Dragons, of course, just in anything that can run level 5 machines. Galaxy Photons, for instance. There's even a way for Raid Raptors to make it. I think it's with Rank Up Magic Soul Shave Force. Not that I ever did it though, because I prefer to play Raid Raptors pure. I don't even play anything from other archetypes. I think the deck works perfectly fine how it is, but that's another story. But yeah, it was just infuriating, especially during the times when I was trying to win Dead Universe Comics Royal Rumbles with my Blackwings. This, of course, was during the time before the pandemic started. I swear, every time I would use Blackwings, Cyber Dragons would get thrown in as well, or Plunder Patrol, and either Full Armor Master would get destroyed by powered up Plunder Patrol monsters, or Cyber Dragons would just be too overwhelming, especially when Infinity came out. And then, of course, there were just infuriating arguments over it, either when it was compared to Honor Arc or Ultimate Falcon and Full Armor Master. I mean, it was said that it's basically a better Honor Arc. I mean, to be fair, it is. I don't know, I forget what the argument was here. I just remember the comparison to Honor Arc being really annoying. I mean, Honor Arc is an amazing, great generic rank 4, but that's nothing compared to Infinity. I mean, Honor Arc's just more fair and balanced. And then there was the argument saying that Ultimate Falcon and Full Armor Master are worse than Infinity, or any negate, which I strongly disagree with. I mean, yeah, you could argue that if you bait a negate and you're successful, you can freely activate stuff and get rid of it, whereas it's just generally hard to get rid of monsters unaffected by card effects. True, but the problem with that is, well, here's the thing. What if there's multiple negates? You know, it's just impossible to play through multiples. I mean, one or two copies of Regeki or something just won't do anything. I mean, at least when it comes to Ultimate Falcon and Full Armor Master, you can still freely activate stuff, and you know, you can just simply kaiju them or destroy them in battle with a stronger monster. I mean, it's not even that hard. So, therefore, negates are worse. But, yeah, Cyber Dragon Infinity just negating everything, along with the fucking arguments over it, were just what made it scar me for life, basically. Number 18, Wave Motion Cannon. Actually, one of the same ones that Kisame Unlimited mentioned about. Seriously, fuck this card and everything it stands for. Why did it have to be made? Yeah, this was one of the few cards that tortured me a lot, like back in the Duel Monsters era and early GX era. Yeah, it's such a cheap, dirty burn card, especially when it's used to win through end of match procedure, and I did get cocked by this through end of match procedure, but I think I talked about it in another video. Yeah, seriously, it was just bullshit and so fucking cheap! And yeah, this should have been banned years ago, and that's how toxic it is. I mean, alright, fair enough, you could argue it's too slow for today's game, which is a fair point, but even so, like back in earlier eras, it should have been straight up banned, especially when there were pretty much fuck all ways to get rid of it. I mean, there just wasn't enough back row removal. Because yeah, for the most part, like we had Heavy Storm, MST, Break of the Magical Warrior, and Giant Trunade all limited. Harpy's Feather Duster was banned, and yeah, there's just wasn't any room for 3 copies of Dust Tornado. I think because it really only make room for 1 at best. Then again, I guess if you are playing against generic burn, you could just side in more copies of Dust Tornado, I suppose, but yeah, it just tortured me so much back in the day. Yeah, whether it was played in generic burn decks or whether it was being sided against me. And I even had a counter to it as well, which was Des Wombat, which I did pull off once, but then it got countered by Tsukiyomi, and then ran over. it was just fucking bullshit. But now, of course, regardless, it's just straight up banned in Ritution format, purely out of spite. Fuck Wave Motion Cannon. Number 17, and it's actually a two-way tie here between Archlord Christia and Vanity's Fiend, because they basically do the same thing. Stop anyone from special summoning. Yeah. I hate cards that shut down special summons. I mean, yeah, there is also Jalgan and Fossil Diner, but Christia and Vanity's Fiend just scarred me for life even more. Whether Vanities was being used in Monarchs or in Dark Lords. But yeah, Christia was the one that just bullied me the most whenever I'd go up against either Agents or Dark Lords. I mean, seriously, it's just such a bullshit card. I mean, it's too easy to summon, shuts down special summons just like that, and it never really goes away. I mean, even if it gets destroyed, it just spins to the top of the deck, ready to be summoned again later. So, unless you're able to banish it, there's just no way to get rid of it. It was just fucking infuriating. Yeah, that was a card that just haunted me back in the September 2011 format. Along with Grapha, of course, but that's another story. And then, of course, there's Dark Lords. If anything, they just make it too easy to summon Christia, and that and Vanities was just what made me hate Dark Lords, like, a lot. I mean, it wasn't the Dark Lord cards themselves, it was these cards. Just these cards. Especially when they were just brought out in a Royal Rumble and no one could special summon. I don't know about other participants, but it just pissed me off so much. And then there was another time where I was facing it with my Red Dragon Archfiend deck, and I was just stuck behind Vanities. I'm pretty sure it was just Vanities, but in turn, my opponent couldn't put out any other monsters either, and I was just having to sit behind Dark Resonator. I mean, that is one downside to playing Christia and Vanities. Like, they don't complement the deck in any way whatsoever, because the whole point of Dark Lords is to special summon lots of beat sticks quite easily. And if you've got a card on the field that shuts down special summons, then it just defeats the whole point. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've done all your special summoning first, but still. Anyway, going back to the situation at hand, I did use Fiendish Chain on Vanities, just so I could get back into the game and turn things around, but then as soon as I drew, Dark Lord Rebellion activated and just destroyed the Fiendish Chain. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. In fact, there was even another time where I was using my Utopia deck, and I got put in a situation where I couldn't special summon or activate spells, because Hope Harbinger was on the field as well, alongside a Christia or a Vanities. Well, I could activate spells, but then they just get negated. I I mean, how was that even fair? Yeah, absolutely traumatising. Number 16, Odd Eye's Vortex Dragon. I mean, I know I've already ranted about Vortex loads of times, but still, it just goes to show how much the card itself just scarred me for life. You know, whether I was playing against Odd Eye's Magician, or Pendulum Magicians, or even some variant of Pepe, you know, with some dark monsters. Um, uh, yeah, it was just a nightmare. I mean, it's basically an auto win whenever it comes out. And recycling a pendulum in order to negate something is literally nothing to give up. You know, especially during Master Rules 4 and 5. I mean, the bouncing effect I'm not too bothered about, but you know, if that was its only effect, I wouldn't have a problem with it, and it wouldn't have scarred me for life as much. But yeah, it was just torture. Like, mainly in the Pendulum Magician matchup. You know, if I wasn't being OTK'd or having my cards constantly popped by Time Pendulum Graph, there'd be this card just negating everything I do. And you know, it just made Pendulum Magician impossible to beat. I mean, even to this day, I was only ever able to beat it once. Just once. Yeah. Yeah, that's how infuriating it is to play against. And then, of course, there was the fact that this card, along with Hope Harbinger, was the only reason me and Brute Boy lost our tag team title. It wasn't an Odd Eyes Magician matchup, it was a Dark Pepe matchup, where our decks just got completely negated by Vortex and Hope Harbinger, and we couldn't fucking do anything. Yeah, that was the only reason we lost that. And yeah, I swear it must have cursed us, if not me, because I've just not been able to do well at all in any tag team tournaments after that. Yeah, it was just a complete scrubbing. And this wasn't even the case like in the 2 tag tournaments before. In the very first one, me and Dragon Master were able to make top 4, whereas me and Brute Boy obviously won it. And then, but after this just bullshit defeat, there's just been no success since. Yeah, that's all there is to say about that. Number 15, Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. You would think this would be higher on the list, considering it's my number 1 hated card in the game, but no, like I said, the other cards have just scarred me for life even more than that. But even so, there are ways that Dragoon scarred me for life. Like instantly making it so I couldn't win the Yu-Gi-Oh's 20th anniversary endurance. 500 life points, stuck behind a negate with fuck all weaknesses. Just, you know, how's anyone meant to have a fair chance? You know? And then, like I said, there's the fact that going for this fucker is all other Dark Magician and Red Eyes decks ever fucking do. You know, just play Dragoon deck for a cheap, easy win and give both decks a bad name. Along with the fact that there's been fucking arguments over this card as well, which were infuriating. Just people questioning me on why I'm not playing it myself, and the fucking arguments over it, and just being given shit for hating it and not playing it myself. Yeah, this got so annoying that there were those 2 times where I just stopped doing deck profile videos twice. I mean, I was convinced to do them again, but then after the second time, I just ended up resorting to disabling the comments of my Dark Magician and Red Eyes deck profiles, you know, just to stop people doing this. Of course, when Rhetorician format then became a thing, and I made it clear that Dragoon was banned in my format, I allowed comments on those specific deck profiles, and yeah, there's been no issues. But even so, the fact that all of this shit happened was just what made it scar me for life. Yeah, as well as just not want to play current format or just current format tournaments anymore. Number 14, number 38, Hope Harbinger. Yeah, you probably guessed this was going to come up after I mentioned it a couple of times. Yeah, Hope Harbinger is another infuriating negate that scarred me for life. As spell-heavy decks just straight up auto-lose to it. I mean, it's just too easy to summon, and more often than not it's just game over when it comes out. I mean, I lost the last Dark Magician raid boss because of it, even though there actually was a way I could have got round it, along with the fact that an earlier duel had a game state mistake. And then of course there was that one-time bullshit occasion where I played against DDDs and had Hope Harbinger, Crystal Wing and Cursed King Siegfried dropped against me, and I had to scoop right away because I couldn't play through it. And then of course there was that occasion where I lost the tag team title because of it. Along with the fact that it just keeps coming out too much whenever I play against anything that runs level 8s and rank 8s, especially Blue Eyes White Dragon. Something that annoys me about playing against other Blue Eyes White Dragon decks is that either they just play Hope Harbinger Stun or Numeron Dragon OTK. In either situation, it's like you're not even using the Blue Eyes monsters themselves to win. You're just using degenerate dragon monsters to just get an easy win. I mean, to be fair, there is the synchro stuff nowadays that Blue Eyes mainly focuses on, especially when it comes to Blue Eyes Spirit Ultimate Dragon, but still, there's nothing really stopping them play Hope Harbinger and Numeron Dragon. Um, yeah, it's just fucking annoying. Um, and then there's the attack redirecting effect, which has been an issue, even though that doesn't really come up very often. Um, and even if I do eventually get rid of it, I've had to use up so many resources just to try and play around it. Which is what happened in a Chaos Max matchup that one time. I tried to get rid of it through other means, but they got countered, and in the end I had to resort to using Big Eye just to take control of it and stop it being used against me. I didn't want to use it myself, but I had no choice. That's really all there is to say about it. Number 13, Bottomless Trap Hole. One of my long-time hated traps. Yeah, there were multiple things this card did that scarred me for life. Like, banished my Dark Magician, banished my Elemental Hero The Shining, which denied me its second effect, or just used on any boss monster that I'd bring out late game to try and turn the tide, and then all hope is just lost, and it results in the scoop phase. And then there's the fact that there are situations where it pretty much stops me from doing anything. Like when it would be searched off Myrmidio, for instance. I hate that there's an archetype now that supports Bottomless. Well, not directly, but still. But yeah, it was just annoying when I'd play against either Traptrix itself or Hat. And then it's like, oh my god, why do you always see this card? And it just made it really hard to do anything, especially when the Bottomless would get set with other back rows, and then it's like, oh no, which one is Bottomless? And I can't make a move without one of my best monsters getting banished. Even if I had an MST, then there's no guarantee I'd hit the Bottomless. And then there's the fact that Rafflesia can just straight up activate it from the deck. Which is just complete bullshit, along with its effect to give other Traptrix a load of immunity. Again, it's like, how is this fair? It just, not only did it banish my best monsters, even my favourite ones, it just put me in too many situations where I pretty much couldn't do anything without getting punished. That's how much I hate it, and how much it just scarred me for life. And speaking of banished cards, this brings me to number 12. Bystial's Druis Worm and Magnamut, which I did bring up in the other top 10 video I did the other day. Like I said, I fucking hate Bystials, and Druis Worm and Magnamut in particular scarred me for life because of the amount of times that they banished my Dark Magician, which ended up leading me to lose. Yeah, it was just absolute fucking bullshit, and this just happened way too much throughout the period of November and December 2022 and January 2023, and that was one of the things that just put me off playing in the normal tournaments until my 2 temporary comebacks after that, and just made me too afraid to play Dark Magician in normal tournaments. Yeah, I'm still having PTSD from that happening. Yeah, it just brings back bad memories whenever I see Bystials in a deck profile video of some kind. I mean, they are both limited now, but you know, there are other level 6 Bystial monsters that do the same thing. I mean, I'm not so bothered about the other effects, it's just the fact that they're just too disruptive and there's fuck all ways to stop them. I think they're one of the worst archetypes to ever be made. They just shouldn't exist at all. Fuck Bystials and everything they stand for, and fuck them for scarring me for life because of what I just talked about. Number 11, Totally Arsehole. The other Xyz monster that negates everything. Yeah, it was just torment. Facing Paleozoic Frog, yeah, that's what it was mainly played in. I mean, the disruptive traps and annoying floodgates it would play, like Imperial Order or Anti-Spell, even Mystic Mine, were annoying, but not as annoying as Toad itself, just negating everything, along with the fact that if it does go to grave, it just recycles itself so that it can just keep coming back. It was just infuriating. There was just no end to it. There was even one time where I did manage to... Actually, no, there were 2 times where I was able to banish it with Ghost Spell and Winter Cherries, but it did nothing. As the first time, I still somehow lost. I mean, I don't know how I did lose, but that was just ridiculous. And then there was the other time where I was able to banish all 3 of them with Ghost Reaper, and then Pot of Acquisitiveness was top decked, and all 3 of them were put back, and then my deck just ended up getting negated again. That was ridiculous. And then there was the fact it was just insult to injury whenever I play against Prank Kids, because 2 dropsies can make it. I mean, Prank Kids already does other annoying bullshit things, so yeah, why not throw in Totally Arsehole? Along with the fact that this fucker was all anyone ever summoned off Bahamut Shark. Just for a free negate, pretty much. It's like, oh my god, play something original, summon something else. I hate that Shark got banned because of it. I mean, I know I said it before, but I feel like banning Shark was completely unfair and unjustified. Toad is the problem, not Shark. Why should Shark be punished for a crime that another god committed? Yeah, it just annoys me when people go after the card that builds up to the problem rather than the problem itself. But yeah, that's one of the things that made me lose faith in Konami when it comes to ban lists. But anyway, that's how Toad scarred me for life. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Magician YouTube channel.